Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Back with another interview, a targeted individual. I got Jeremy from Florida. He's down there with that hurricane. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just glad we dodged this one. It was a close call. I
Yeah,
live on the West Coast, so we kind of were watching it, and it was coming, and it wasn't, and it changed course so many times. But I just want to say my prayers go out to the people in the Bahamas, man. It's a disaster out there. So.
yeah. I think it stalled over the Bahamas for a little while. So you haven't really gotten much of anything from that.
It rained a little bit.
Yeah,
Something about the West Coast, man. They dodge hurricanes. It's like I don't know
yeah,
if it's the way the water flows or but man, we get lucky. So
yeah. Well, I'm here in Atlanta, and I don't think we're going to get anything from it either. So, not even some
yeah.
rain, and we could use some rain. But anyway, so you're targeted, and I'm targeted. I'm on remote neural monitoring, and this is the first time that we've actually talked. So we're just gonna kind of wing it. Like this is how we usually. This is how I usually do my interview videos. I don't plan it or anything like that. So, but you're targeted in a lot of the same ways, and we just talked for about 5 minutes before we got started. But it seems like your situation is a lot similar to mine and the other people. And one thing that I want to mention to people out there watching is that um, it's the people that have the full blown targeting, the artificial telepathy and seeing the broadcast and everything that goes on with that, that really understand this the best. And that's what's going on with Jeremy. So, you want to tell us just in general how is all of this for you?
It was a hard thing to accept. One of the really good things that I do have is support a family, except for one of my family members. I mean, most of all my friends that I've told about, they 100% believe me. I've known them since I was, in grade school, and they know I'm not crazy. They know I'm not, and it's I have the support, and it's good in ways, but it seems to be like I for a while I got myself wrapped up whenever we would hang out. It was the main conversation, and I
Right.
don't know if it's something they were doing to I don't know, but it was always a conversation because that's if you're a targeted individual, it's on your mind 100 days, 100,
Right.
100. There's nothing totally against it. It's nonstop, so there's no breaks, and it sucks.
Right. Yeah. I
So.
mean, I deal with this 24/7. I tried in the beginning, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, telling some family members about this and a few friends, but really, for the most part, people didn't really believe in all of this stuff, and the things that I
Mhm.
was talking about sounded really incredible anyway. So it does make it kind of unbelievable for everybody when you're trying to tell people about it. But I can say this that when
I apologize. Go
oh,
ahead.
that's cool. When you have a circumstance where you're working a job and you're dealing with life in a successful way, people have a lot more difficult time discounting what you're saying. Now, if you're a person that's and I look, I talk to people every single day. They hit me up about this, and a lot of people that are going through this, they're not very stable, and they're not keeping a job, and they're really dealing with drugs and things like that, and it makes you seem less credible. And so, you know, we were just talking, and it seems like you kind of got it together. So, uh, that's good that people believe you that when you talk about it, but still, they would never understand unless they go through
Mhm.
that.
Oh, of course not. They have not. And there was a part of my life where I was down a different path, and it wasn't. I went through a bad relationship and a couple bad relationships, and I had that f the world mentality, and I did things a lot different, and that it was I was in a real bad depressive state, and there was things going on then that I just didn't pick up on, and it wasn't really until I was shortly lived up in Denver for a while, and that's when everything was like full blown, figuring everything out, and it was horrible, man. I mean, they attacked my wife. They had my wife in the shower on the ground, telling her she was a bad mom, she was a bad wife, trying to get her to kill herself in the shower. My 11-year-old son, he hears his cousin's voice all the time, And what sick, sadistical people do.
Well, let me stop you for a second. So, and I have the same situation, and usually this is the case. If somebody is targeted, then the people around them get put on remote neural monitoring also. And the difference is, in my situation, they don't really target people that are around me because, for one, that would give me more credibility, and they want me to seem crazy to everyone that I could tell about this. And plus, I kind of know who's responsible for a lot of this stuff, and how's that going to be if they start attacking my family? Who knows? But so I want you to know too, though, that if he's hearing his cousin's voice, that definitely means that the cousin is on remote neural monitoring. So it's not likely that the cousin is a gang stalker. It's just, it's 100% chance that the cousin is definitely on remote neural monitoring, because otherwise they can't use that voice as a setting. And like they could talk to me in my little brother's voice or my grandmother's voice, and the only way they can do that is because they have them on remote neural monitoring also. And another thing I wanted to ask you, okay, so you're from Florida and you lived in Florida, okay, but then you said you left and went to Denver. And so when you went from Florida to Denver, nothing changed. It didn't stop for you?
No, not at all. Well, actually, in Florida, it was crazy stuff going on, and I think I was at the point of they were doing their, the actual, I would say the evidence stage where they were collecting information, or I was probably already on it and just didn't have the mindset to realize what it was. It was just the physical of seeing things, the people driving around, the crazy things that didn't make sense. I mean,
yeah, that's what they call it, the street theater.
I was laying in bed. Yeah, I was laying in bed one night, and it was like Christmas Eve, and I was looking out the crack of my door, and all I seen was this like circular shape of people's faces, and they were like behind my mom and doing all kind of obscene, gestures and stuff, and I was totally oblivious by it, and it was horrible, And then I've caught them across the street with binoculars and seen orange binoculars. I've seen them dressed up in cop outfits, or maybe it was law enforcement. And I took off after them. I walked right across the street, and I said, I've had enough. This is going to stop. And they took off. And I've seen it. I just, I was afraid, man. You're at that point where these people are nonstop. I've had them in my windows, flashing lights in my windows. I mean, dead smack. And
well,
like I said, it really wasn't like
they can do a lot of that stuff.
What was that?
They can do a lot of that stuff with broadcast, especially if you're a person that has the ability to see broadcast, because some people can't see it, and broadcast is just waves in the air. And I believe that if you can see broadcast, it has something to do with two things. One, your sensitivity to light with your eyes. Two would be the ability to process that light fast enough to comprehend what the broadcast is. And so
you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so but they can do a lot of flashing lights and broadcast holograms and all kinds of things, especially if you're looking through glass. It can seem like real life people standing out there, but it may have been real life people, because I did go through a stage where they were doing the street theater, and like they would follow me around and stuff like that. We had some altercations and all of that.
And that's
stuff.
what I had, and it was crazy. But I mean, when you're talking about the sensitivity to light, like I've actually, I don't know if it's just I trained my eyes, but it's kind of like, when you're in Atlanta, when it's like really, really hot out, and you can see the heat evaporating off the pavement, or like fuel, how it evaporates.
Right.
If I look in corners, that's what it looks like. You can see waves.
Right.
And it's exactly what it is. There's no other way of putting it.
Yeah, it is like that.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I know when they're standing next to me. I've even taken it. It's funny, but it works. A big silver spoon, and I was walking out of the bathroom, and I just threw it up when I was coming out, and I looked, and I had this like green zombie-looking girl or whatever it was, and I said, "You better." I mean, she was like right there. I mean, right behind me. I turned around, and I was going to go after, but I mean, I stopped doing it.
It's a broadcast, yeah. I mean, you can't really do anything to a broadcast.
No.
And I had the same situation. Reflective surfaces work really well. Silver is the most reflective thing on it's the most reflective element on the planet.
Of course.
Yeah, I've got a
Um,
bronze plaque upstairs on the wall, and sometimes when I walk past that plaque, I can see either their holograms around me really good,
mhm.
or I can just see. It's almost like looking into a portal. You can see them where they
Yep.
are. It's a
Yep.
really bizarre technology, but when they have that broadcast turned up, you can see it. And also,
Oh
when
yeah.
once you know that it's like that, and you start to learn how to see waves, then it makes it a little easier. And then
Yep.
you really can see it anytime you want to. Like I don't have to see it, but if I want to see the broadcast, I can kind of make my eyes focus to waves,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's possible that you could do that anytime. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
kind of a
If you wear
learned
eyeglasses,
thing.
if you wear eyeglasses or sunglasses, I've learned to use my peripherals, and I could be
Yeah,
sitting here with off my laptop or whatever, and you know what I mean. And it's like, I caught in some good videos, and I started posting, but I'm gonna start getting more into it. Just time right now. Like, I go to school full time,
right.
and they've tried affecting my school. They've knocked out my internet to where I couldn't even do my schoolwork, man. They've,
Me too.
and I've learned ways. I'm Kali Linux, and I'm really getting into it. As far as tracing stuff and getting into the Google side where I did a domain search and found out all this stuff that was being searched and it was nothing that we would search.
Right.
I mean, I've gotten wording and stuff saying that they put stuff in the air conditioning. I've had stuff where they were talking about a dinner, sitting down with whoever their head person is about they couldn't take it anymore. That I'm so mean and I'm so vulgar and I just don't care, and that they can't be talked to like that and they want to quit. Now, whether or not because I've learned to take photos and get script out of the photos, but that could be pre-planted. Who knows?
Well,
I mean,
it's like
there's
this, man. It's like this though. If you hear it, it's because they wanted you to hear it. So
exactly.
it's definitely part of the scheme. And
Mm-hmm.
anything that you hear, because they could mute their voice setting anytime they feel like it. If they didn't want you to hear it, you wouldn't hear it. So if you
Yeah.
did hear it, then they wanted you to for sure.
Now I have caught them in mistakes. Very
Yeah,
very few. I mean, these people are on point. I mean, not all. Some of them they get so high or drunk and they make mistakes, but I literally caught them admitting that I said something in a response, and I do think some of the responses are self responses or automatic responses. I mean, I think they're definitely live. There's definitely real people, but I do think they have an automated system because sometimes you could just it doesn't seem right. Or if you ask them to spell something back or to spell a word out or spell anything for that matter, they won't do it.
well,
At least mine won't.
they'll never do what you ask them to do. And
Yeah.
the whole thing about it is they don't want to have to think anyway. They like to just receive you. So you could almost like if you spell it out or think of it in your mind, they might spell it out loud as you think it because you're
Yep.
basically mind controlling them, and they're on that headset receiving you, and that's what they love. Um, you mentioned Linux, and
Yeah.
Linux is a good thing to get into. I know
Mm-hmm.
you can run Linux on Mac. I'm
You
not
can
sure if you can run it on Windows, but you can
you
definitely
can
run
do
Linux. Linux
you
can
can
be
do it.
run
You have to
on
do it as a dual
Android.
boot. If you there's if you search it, you can do a dual boot. So when you turn your Windows computer on, you can go down and it's a dual boot, so you can just select Windows or Linux. And
Okay.
it's hard to learn. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like Windows and Windows prompts, but
Well, I
I'm
don't know
getting there.
much about Windows. I've been on Mac since way back in the day, and I'm just not an expert at any of it. But I know that I think Linux is more. You can get down into what's going on if they're into your stuff,
Well,
and
Well, it's made for pen testing, is what it is. It's made for hacking. It's made for, the gray hackers and the red hackers. It's made for, security breaches and to prevent security. So,
yeah.
just learning how to do it. But, I'm learning how to do it. I'm learning how to get into cryptography. And like I said, I'm going to school for electronic engineering. I graduate next year, and then it's on to my bachelor's. But,
Well, you're definitely
I
on the
got,
right track with all of that, I think.
yep,
Um,
yep,
another thing that would be important is networking because as far as like Wi-Fi, I won't touch it. I won't touch any Wi-Fi with any device that I have. I've had so
mhm,
many problems for like the first 3 years of this targeting thing. Like I couldn't even get a YouTube video up, or it was just a problem to do
yep,
anything, every little thing. And they were on my Wi-Fi. They probably still are. I just haven't been on it in so long that I don't even know. But I could see in the log files where they would just take over the Wi-Fi, and I could see all of their tunnel
Oh yeah.
services and everything.
Because
So
and if that's the case, if they're hacking your Wi-Fi, that means they have to be in some type of vicinity because
not necessarily. See,
because if they have boosters, I mean, if they do have boosters, yes, but I mean, you're talking about a signal. I mean,
right.
it's so hard to comprehend. It's like
Well, let me explain that to you, because that's theoretically you're correct, okay? And I used to think the same thing. And in my case, they are kind of close around me. Some of them are close enough where they might actually be able to get on my Wi-Fi, especially when I was using Airport Extreme. But I don't anymore. But what I learned is that they're not actually, as a human, in range of your Wi-Fi. With their broadcast, they have a virtual device, and this EMF broadcast is capable of connecting Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. So they have that capability built into the broadcast. So, like I would check my log files on my Wi-Fi, and I would see, say, 6 different IPs where they were all tunnel services, and that would let me know that I had 6 gang stalkers broadcasted over here. So I could probably do that now and see like how many of them are doing live streams. So I would just type in the IP, like what is it, 192.168.1.254. Yeah, I'll put that into Google, and it would bring me to my web-based control panel online, and then I could go into the logs and everything like that, and I could see how many of them were on my Wi-Fi, and the way they're being on my Wi-Fi is as a broadcast, and with their broadcast, they can have a virtual device broadcasted with their hologram, and physically their physical body is like wherever they are, laid out in this subconscious state on a mind control, while their broadcast is somewhere else. So they broadcast where they want, and they live as the broadcast, as if that's real life. And with that, they can control it. They can still access internet as long as they can, access Wi-Fi and connect somehow. Then they can get onto the neural monitoring and control all the settings and do whatever it is they need to do, even while their body is asleep. Which brings up a lot of other possibilities, with the technology in general beyond gang stalking.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I have a video that I caught where there was this blonde-haired girl, and my ex was blonde, so I think they were using that as a, whatever. And it looked just like her, but her eyes were hollow, like she was.
Right, they have black. They have solid black eyes.
Black, and I'm like, man, you're in a vegetative state. What are you doing? I mean,
Well, it wasn't really her. It was the broadcast. So I've noticed that every time I've seen the hologram broadcast, they have solid black, shiny eyes, and I think that's part of the broadcast. I think that it's designed that way to be able to give them the best view possible from that broadcast, because they can see from the broadcast like they are the broadcast, so they live as it. And that's the only part of the broadcast that has to be unnatural looking. The rest of it can look perfectly like a human, and especially through glass or from a distance, it can really throw you off if you can see that stuff, because if you get closer to them, they become transparent, and then when they're really close, it's very difficult to see the holograms in general. Without reflections.
Yeah, and I know, we were talking, briefly earlier about the my wife's birthday party the other night, and the image that you saw, and I was actually taking a look at it, and if you look, like, I don't know what they were doing, but the outside their eyes were closed, but you could see like they had something that tried to look like a pupil, and then as you got closer, it was some demonic demon-looking thing that makes up their face. It's weird, like I've seen the one guy, he had an Adolf Hitler little mustache going on, and then when you get closer, it changes. And I've watched stuff morph. Like, it's weird.
Well, one thing about in a solid picture, a picture is going to be a picture. Well, the reason that a picture can change is because is it in the picture or is it them now? Because they can broadcast on that picture and on a screen or something and seem like it's in the picture when it's really them now. And the same thing with audio. If you record them and you try to listen to it, are they in the recording or is that them now? And it gets difficult to tell. But, as far as being on the pictures, you could see, sometimes you can see broadcasts, which is like the holograms broadcasted, and sometimes you could see them where they are. It's just,
Yep.
and when you see them where they are, they may have the headset on with those eye covers on. And, that's how usually if I see somebody with the headset and with or without the eye covers, if I see them on mind control, I know that's them where they are. Because when it comes to the hologram broadcast, you don't see the mind controls. It's like it's just like a human. And another thing is, I was looking through that bronze plaque that I was talking about. I was looking through that one time, and I was looking at this girl who was, and it seemed like I was seeing them where they are, and her face was kind of changing into like a demon and like changing back. And I don't like to start talking about like bizarre conspiracy theories, and I definitely don't believe in reptilians. But I believe that there is a spiritual side to this, and I believe that through EMF broadcast, you can see who people are.
Yeah, it's crazy. Their mouths are always moving. If you look at, it's weird. If you look at any hologram or anything, their mouths are always like mumbling or moving, and like they're communicating back and forth. And it's just like, the same thing with the audio side. When you go to the audio side, what they're really saying to you and broadcasting to you is not what's going on, because I've gotten into using a couple programs to get past it, and every time I do, they turn music on, like country music or hip hop music, and you have to mess with the settings to get past it. And wherever they were, the one is the toilet started swirling, and he came out and goes, I really hate this effing guy right now. And clear as day, but when I was doing it, it took a while because it was country music playing, and you could hear it. And I couldn't get past it for a while. And Audacity, Audacity is a great program, and you just gotta mess with it. But eventually, you start finding the settings that work. And I know I've had to piss these people off, because there's things that there's no human being in the world to take. There's certain things you talk about, certain things, and I don't even know these people. And it's horrible the way the way I am. And but what are they doing to us? It's horrible, man. It really is. It's frustrating, but I've gotten myself, man. You gotta, the one thing I could say is with TIs, you read all stuff online about me, being attacked. Well, you gotta find an alternative, set some goals, do stuff. That one interview you were doing, you gotta move forward. You can't go backwards. You can't, don't hibernate yourself. And that's what they want, and that's what I did for months.
Well, I went through the same thing. I found that a lot of people that are going through this targeting, they, and I want people to find, videos that we make and stuff like that, so they can understand all of this and not isolate themselves. And, you don't want to shut down all your accounts and quit talking to everybody and hide away at home all the time. That's what they want. And I went through all of that in the beginning. And, I think it's really important to stay successful, to stay doing something. And I think a lot of people use this as an excuse, and some of them may not even be targeted, but they're like, oh, well, I can't do anything with all of this stuff. And I say opposite, exploit that and use this as motivation to do more than you ever would have done in the first place. And that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to double my efforts because of this.
Exactly. I mean, you're not doing good for yourself, your family, or whatever. If you're, and it took me a while to get past it. I mean, like I said with my wife, I that bless that woman, because she has seen me go through, and horrible, and they've attacked her, so she understands it. But there's times where she doesn't get it. She knows what it's like to go through it, but trying to get people to understand, it's 24/7. There's, for a while, every 2 hours I was woke up. Every 2 hours. Full body jerks. I mean, she's woken up in the middle of the night with bruises on her legs from them having me thrashed, and she knows it's not me. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But you just got to stay positive and find something that you enjoy doing. And when it gets rough, you do that. You go and do that, and it relieves.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've been trying to do is, you're always showing your meter and showing the numbers. Right. And when I was in Denver, I had no doubt that those numbers. I mean, I had to go to the hospital. I thought I was having a heart attack. The guy was telling me that if I left my house, that he was going to make me have a heart attack. And I left in an ambulance. and my blood pressure was like 185, 190 over. I don't even know what it was. I mean, it was all on their end, but I did the mistake in going and seeing a psychiatrist. Well, I checked myself into an outpatient or inpatient, but it was on my own terms, and that the doctor looked right at me and said, "You're not schizo. You're not whatever. I think you're just depressed." And I think that was like a dagger to them because that's what they want. They want you diagnosed and on medication and crazy. And that doctor was not giving me that diagnosis. And that's when I knew it wasn't me. I mean, it was horrible.
The pharmaceutical industry in general is, a lot of them know what's going on. I'm sure there's some that don't, but a lot of them do know what's going on. And for them to say it's artificial telepathy, you're dealing with a broadcast, and this is a satellite technology, and that's really bad for business, and they're never going to say that. Not until it's just wide out in the open.
Yeah. I mean, they tell me all different kinds of stuff of what it is, and I'll never figure it out. And then, I've heard it all. I mean, I've heard every single thing that it's satellite. They told me that it's a secret technology. It's 5G. It's, we're the government. We're the FBI. We're the CIA. And I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And for everyone that watches this and listens, if you take Kevin's videos and you actually watch them, because I didn't even know it. I watched the videos on the hologram stuff and in your little videos that you would make with the green screen stuff. And it wasn't until I really started watching those that everything that this guy talks about, I can prove and do it. I've done it. I've tried it. I tested it, and it changed my mentality of thinking. Like, man, this guy's really on something. And I hear all the time that guy's full of crap. He's a gang stalker. He's one of them. I'm like, yeah. So why is he giving out information that makes sense?
Exactly.
That's not what gang stalkers do.
Exactly. Nobody else has come out with all of this stuff, and I just came out with what my experiences and what I knew because I knew a lot of these gang stalkers beforehand. I knew who a lot of them were, and then I met some others, and they've tried to kill me and all kinds of stuff. It's been going on for 5 years, and I had a lot of information about how this works. And when I started to look into things, I realized that all the things that people were saying out here is not the truth, and it's not how it works. And I was like, well, hold up. I know it sounds crazy, and I lost a lot of friends, and in the beginning, everybody thought, this guy's nuts. But it's getting a lot easier, now everybody is starting to see that there's something to it. And, so I don't really have a lot of, people aren't willing to come at me like that as much anymore. They might talk behind the scenes, but.
So have you, I'm sure there's a lot of listeners out there that are dying to ask this question. I'm just going to say it. Have you gotten I don't want to say the gonads to go over there yet or want to go over there? I mean, what has refrained you from going over there? I'm sorry. It had to be asked. It's been something that I've been wanting to ask you.
Right. Well,
I mean, I get why you don't want to, but then I get, man, if it's like my neighbor was right there, and I knew it was them.
Yeah.
I just fear.
Well, it's not just them, okay? It's not just them. There's really about 6 or 7 houses around here that I know are probably gang stalker houses, but there's about 4 that I'm 100% certain are gang stalker houses, and I've encountered some of these people, and I can tell you this: it's not from a fear perspective. It's not like that I fear them, and I will say that there's been a lot of things that have happened that I don't talk about on the channel, and
of course,
there's a lot of things that have went on over the past 5 years, but and some of these people from some of these locations, they've shot at me numerous occasions, and so I've been shot, and still that it's not a factor of I'm afraid of them. That's not the reason. All right, so I'll give it to you straight, man. The honest really thing is that it's definitely okay. The reason I don't want to, well, I don't want to say anything that could be used against me, because that's what they need. Okay, so I'm trying to be careful with my wording, but I'll say this, okay? I love my life. I love my life a lot. Like, I love the things that I do and just my life in general. I've got children, and I love my life, and I have a lot of fun, and I've got a lot of plans for the future, and I feel like a lot of big things are going to be happening for me and the things that I'm involved with. Not just this, but with this too, as far as like exposing all of this stuff and being the first person to really come out with all of the truth and everything.
And I hope it is, man, and I hope it does.
Yeah, I think it's going to be huge, man.
Your kids, man, when it comes down to your kids are your world, man, and to go there and make a mistake and spend the rest of your life in prison.
Right. Well, this is the thing, right? It's not like that I've never thought about what's the circumstances and the consequences. And the thing is, like, okay, if you just go to somebody's house and you take that kind of initiative, yeah, I mean,
it's home invasion.
It is. It's home invasion, and the police would come, and if they call the police, and what do they got? A few floppy little headsets to hide and to log out or something on the internet or whatever, and then it's like,
and the cops aren't going to have a warrant.
Right, this crazy guys over here, and the police will come and they'll shoot me. They'll shoot me and kill me, like that. They would.
Warrants, so they can't go search that guy's house. They can't technically search.
Right. I mean, what I told them that these people got some mind control, and I have. I've made police reports and things like that. So these people at this address have these mind control devices, these EEG type of things that they're using that are modified. That they're using a satellite broadcaster. I've explained it. I just told the truth on police reports because the truth is going to stand up over time, and I feel like a lot of big things are coming with all of this, and it can't be that much longer before because so many people are starting to go through this now, so it's going to end up exposed, and then everybody's going to say, well, he was right, and I'm going to be able to gather up everybody who was involved with all of this, and the victims are getting rich, and the gang stalkers are going to prison, and it just comes down to risk, man. I'm not willing to risk my future because I love my life, and so
you're right. You're absolutely right.
But at the same time, I would defend my life to the point that if it comes to the point where I feel like I'm dying, and I need to defend my life, then I hope it never comes to anything like that. But at this point, I feel like it's not worth the risk to take matters into my own hands, and I feel like we have a lot of momentum going, and legally this is going to be a big deal. I feel like I could really push something now, if I had the money for lawyers and stuff like that, but it's just not something I want to do
And it's not an overnight thing. It took a long time to get to that point. When that point comes, it's going to take years to get this stopped, because you have people in high places that are, going to shut it down. They're going to try to shut it down and shut you down.
Shut it down. Yeah, I mean, but it's like this though. Even these gang stalkers are on neural monitoring. Okay, so and they got mountains of evidence, real evidence, firsthand evidence from it because they have it. So, if it comes to the point where somebody tries to shut it down, well, too many people know that neural monitoring exists. So if you don't have access to control your own settings and watch over your own stuff, then who does? Because we know it exists. So somebody does, and not even these gang stalkers are going to be okay with that. So, but just to sum it up, okay. I don't want to take matters into my own hands because I feel like the police would kill me, and it's too risky to risk my future. And so, so just for the record, I'm not planning on taking matters into my own hands. And I feel like there's legal ways to go about this and handle it the correct way. Before all of y'all gang stalkers try to run over here and say that I threatened somebody's life or something like that. Yeah, so a lot of people have comments.
I see your point. I absolutely agree with you, man. But,
Well, so what's your situation? I mean, before we actually start it.
Well, it's been a journey, man. About now that I go back and actually rethink about 6 years ago, is when stuff was going on. I just didn't know, really what it was. It was just weird stuff, man. Like I was having people start following me around. I was driving in the car and I'd start seeing the same cars all the time. I'd pull into like a parking lot, and cars would pull up, park, sit there for a couple minutes, and then I started hearing in the distance like a mortar shell going off. And I kid you not, as soon as that would happen, they would pull out, and two more would just pull in. And I would sit there like, what? And I thought I was being watched by like the FBI or something going on. I really didn't even know. And man, it started getting to the point where they acted like they were law enforcement. I started doing stuff that's out of my house. Like I would look out my window and I would see stuff, but then when I would open the door, it wasn't there, and it was weird. Right. And they were dressed up in like full SWAT or like masks, and literally like I looked out my peephole and it looked like they were sitting right outside, like in raid outfits, ready to kick my door. And I was known on my door, if you're gonna raid my house, the door's unlocked, just come in. There's no reason to bust my door down. My mom's older, so couldn't figure it out, man, and it was just horrible. I wanted to move in.
Well, I had the same type of things going on, man. And the thing is with that peephole thing, I know what you're talking about, but when you know how peepholes are shaped and they're glass, and when you look through a peephole, it exposes broadcast really well.
Oh yeah.
I've done videos through peepholes before, trying to get it, But so do you have the telepathy?
What's that?
Do you have the telepathy? They talk to you?
Oh yeah, it's nonstop, man, and and I couldn't figure it out. Like, I started hearing stuff, and it was like, pulling up to the address, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And I'm like, how am I hearing that? And like, I just didn't put sense to it, man. I was in a different mindset back then, and I moved away. I moved a couple times, and then my son, high school girlfriend, passed away at like 15 years old, and I came back to Florida. And I met my wife, and we've known each other for a long time. But that's when stuff, like the day that I moved in, I started hearing stuff through the ceiling. And that's when it really started. And next thing you know, like we were followed going all over the place. And we went to a bar one night, and they sat right next to us. And I knew what was kind of going on, like I was being followed, but I thought it was law enforcement. I thought she was in on it. Like it was crazy. Like it almost.
Well, so hold on. So nothing was happening until the day you and her moved in together.
Well, it kind of stopped for a while, and then when I moved, because I moved out of state, and when I came back, started again, and it might have been going up, it might have been going on. But when we left, I took a job as a headhunter in oil and gas, and when we went to Denver, that's when like I just had knee surgery, so I was out of work, and then I took a job, and we got up there, and I started hearing stuff through the rooms. I thought it was the people above us. I almost kicked the doors in on them, and it wasn't until they kept saying that they were the FBI. I had a warrant out for my arrest, and I had my wife pulling down the fire alarms, thinking there was cameras out there, and that there was cameras in everywhere. So it got pretty bad, and then it wasn't until I want to say I was walking down the road to turn myself in because I had a warrant out for my arrest, and I was on crutches, and I crutched all the way in downtown Denver. And found out there was no warrant, and I kept hearing their voices, and that's when everything started making sense. And a couple of my good friends, they did some research for me and told me what it was, and gave me a link on YouTube. And I thought you were crazy when I first literally was listening to your stuff. I thought you were nuts. Like there's no way. I thought I had a chip in me, man. I had my wife slowly making little incisions, trying to put that's what they were telling me. And I started doing research, and stuff started making more sense. And it got to the point where I started figuring stuff out. And, I got past the whole revenge of wanting to kill them. And, if I found them now, it would be a different story if they were dead smack in front of me. But I moved past it, man. I bettered myself. I'm going to school. I'm getting my degree. And I'm trying to make a difference, and I'm trying to help people. But, it's just a lot of the stuff on Facebook you see. There's gang stalkers all over the place.
Right.
And it is what it is, man. I'm learning to live with it and cope with it. You just got to get past it.
Right. Yeah, man.
You got to get past that.
It is what it is, man. They're gonna get what they deserve, man. They're gonna get what they deserve. I wish I knew and I could figure out who they were. I've come across a couple of sadistic cults that I've come across that kind of match. They have some fetish with wolves. I don't know what it is, but there's wolves all over my walls. There's wolves on the ground. There's wolves everywhere. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
So I can't put it together. I kind of stopped trying to, and just it is what it is. If I piss somebody off, man, it's a messed up way to get back at somebody.
Well, in
So
general,
I
man,
don't know.
look, in general, the technology that they're using is the same, and the circumstances, it's a lot the same for everybody. So they're on the same neural monitoring that we're on. They just have access to it. So,
Correct.
but the the fact of them being able to receive other people and the tactics that they use in general are the same for everybody, but you still are dealing with
Sure.
individual people. So you may be dealing with some group of people that has some kind of thing with wolves for their mascot or whatever, but
Yeah.
it it's just normal people that are accessing this stuff, man. So they could be, a group of lesbians could get a hold of this technology, or a group of gangster bikers or whatever. It could be anybody. So
Yeah, I mean, and what was funny is when we were watching that. Don't mind my pink furnace, man. It keeps my stuff going. But when you were showed that video of when you had the Ninja Turtles behind you, and
right,
something you were talking about, the one of the guys was doing some shit to some child or whatever. Well, that night I walked into my bathroom and I have a huge walk-in shower. And when I went in there, you could see the reflection like you were looking in someone's house. And I was like, holy shit, like I'm like in someone's house. It was weird. And then they had some big fat guy with a beard staring, like making eye contact with me. And I'm like, dude, that's like, and I swore it was like a little kid or something. And they were going at it, and I threw my phone, dude, because I was trying to take a picture of it. And when I realized what it was, I just chucked my phone. I was like, that's fucking gross. It's
yeah,
disgusting. I mean, I've been called every single name in the book, man. I've been called a freaking, horrible dad, a freaking piece of shit, a chomo. I mean, anything and everything. There's no filter with them.
yeah,
And,
and
I go back at them for a long time. I fight right back, but what's the point?
well,
That's what they want.
their goal is to get an emotional response out of you, because they're connected to us on mind control anyway. So they want to feel us get angry about it. They want to feel our feelings get hurt. But look, let's get started actually, because we're
Yeah,
going on.
yeah,
Like
let's
I
do
may
it.
I may put some of this in the video, but all right. So I'm just gonna say Jeremy from Florida. You want me to just say that?
Yeah, yeah, no, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. So all right, I'll just get it started, and we can
Let's
just
do
go on for 20, 30 minutes, whatever.
it.
All right, cool. So all right, here we go.